Hello, first time moms, first time parents. Perhaps the early days of pregnancy are still fresh in your mind, and you remember going through every book possible available to prepare yourself for the motherhood. That was me. I was convinced that I would be well prepared when baby arrives. I took baby care books, I took psychology books, I picked up um, health, nutrition, you name it. Gone through all of them. Like most mothers, I wanted to do my absolute best for my baby. But let me tell you that very soon I became absolutely overwhelmed, not only by the volume of the literature available, but mainly by the contradictory advice, in particular on baby routines, whether you schedule, whether you follow baby's natural rhythm, whether you co-sleep, whether you promote independent sleeping by the baby. These were just some of the mysteries that I was trying to figure out. And what's interesting, that a lot of contradicting advice stems not only from cultural diversity, but also from historical parental trends. There just isn't one right way to bring up the baby, as most parents will confirm. So, because I was waiting desperately for 15 years before I was finally blessed with a baby, I was consciously aware that I didn't want to become one of those overprotective, hovering moms. And so, having read all the books, my plan was firm. I decided that my baby would sleep in his own cot, however, sharing the bedroom. But as soon as baby arrived, all of the theories went out of the window because, surprise, surprise, babies come with their own demanding, complicated manual. And so, 2 weeks into a motherhood, it turned out that my baby had a severe colic. And so he would only ever sleep for 20 minutes at any stretch of a time, um, whether it's day or whether it's night. And he would be waking up, crying, needing to be comforted again. Of course, we have tried all the natural remedies recommended by the doctors and well-meaning friends and family. However, nothing worked. Whether coupled with that, whether through becoming stressed, overwhelmed, and my healthy recommended diet, breastfeeding has also become a big problem for me. And so that meant that I had to switch to a formula, which meant now I needed lots of baby bottles to be washed, then sterilized. Formula had to be prepared fresh with boiled and cooled down water. So there have been extra duties on my list. My partner was working all day long, which meant all daytime care of the baby was on me. As you can imagine, that meant that almost 12 hours a day, baby was in my arms because he would not sleep longer than 20 minutes. And even if you lay him down, he would immediately wake up and start crying. So that meant I had to cuddle him most of the time. So getting anything done was an enormous challenge, exhausting, and near impossible. Long story short, so as you can imagine, very soon, sleep deprived, I turned into a walking zombie. And this is not just me saying, this is studies on parental sleep deprivation showed that, in fact, it seriously impacts everything from cognitive function to emotional regulation. And the popular advice to leave your baby to cry it out just didn't sit well with me, just didn't feel natural for me in my case. I can see that it might be a workable solution for some parents. So for everyone's sanity, I gave in and I decided that my baby would be staying with me, with us in the bed. So that meant I didn't need to get up literally every 20 minutes when he woke up and was crying, and I could cuddle him, I could massage his tummy, which helped to settle down his colic, and comforted by my touch, he would drift back to sleep. He slept with us parents for the duration of that time, and when it colic eventually subsided and disappeared, of course, it was very difficult to now suddenly transition to independent sleeping. Additionally, when my son was 9 months old, I had to return back to work, which was devastating for me as a first-time mom. A very difficult transition. And besides, my priorities had now shifted slightly to the fact that obviously I needed my sleep, I needed to concentrate on my work to be able to earn money, which was needed. And so instead, I decided that periodically I would attempt to transition our baby to his own cot and see how we get on. Let me assure you that none of those decisions were taken lightly. I have researched, I read online the pros and cons, what the research was saying. Although co-sleeping wasn't all negative and there were positive messages coming through, I still couldn't shift the guilt of feeling the failure for not settling my baby in his own cot and allowing him to co-sleep with parents. However, looking back, guilt has been a wasted energy, and guilt never helps anybody in any circumstances of life, or in most. So people have different reasons why they choose independent versus co-sleeping arrangements. And as far as research is concerned, the debate is still on. There isn't conclusive evidence from either of the side whether one is better than the other. It became difficult to manage transitioning from co-sleeping, co-sharing into independent cot sleeping arrangement. And I was riddled with guilt because I felt as a failure as a mother. I felt that I wanted my baby to sleep independently. There was some non-conclusive research. There was not enough evidence, but suggesting links to later dependency on the parent, difficulty sleeping, questioned social skills. However, none of it is conclusive. Nevertheless, being a mom and wanting the best for my child, of course, I was preoccupied by that. So what I want to say is the guilt and the worry were wasted energy. And if you are a parent who is struggling for whatever reason, whether your baby is colicky, whether it's a restless baby, and you absolutely at your wit's end, not knowing what to do or about to give up, please don't waste your precious energy levels on feeling any guilt, because as a conscientious parent, I know you would do your absolute best for your child. And the way I approached it was periodically I would attempt to transition my baby out of the parental bed and into his own cot, his own bed. As I say, the colic persisted for the 14 months. And so even though I tried, I did not make a great emphasis on that. Baby was not ready, and I left it at that. Now, later, when my son was a toddler, we have attempted again the transition. However, we have found it difficult because obviously the baby has been restless, got used to be sleeping with parents, and so this was not an easy task. So initially, what has worked for us is pulling cot close to our bed, and so through the gaps in the cot barrier, I could stretch my arm out and cuddle the baby, and just taking small steps. Some nights were successful, other nights weren't, but it was the first step to transitioning. And it took a long while. Eventually, he became comfortable sleeping in cot, but every time he woke up in the morning or in the night if he did wake up, not necessarily more than any typical child would. It was just stroking him, cuddling him, and helping him to settle back to sleep. And so as our son was growing, eventually he transitioned into his own bed, into his own bedroom, as children do. Occasionally he would seek comfort and come and ask to sleep with me, which is absolutely fine. However, now that he is a teenager, he sleeps independently. And for example, some of the worries that were highlighted are dependency, poor sleep, inability to fall asleep by themselves. I'm happy, delighted to share with you that none of those concerns materialized. He sleeps like a log. He goes into his bedroom, he lays down, he falls asleep, and he sleeps. Nothing wakes him up. He's a very good sleeper, has been for years. As far as him being dependent, I don't observe any extremities compared to other children. I obviously speak with other mothers, I work with mothers, I hear the stories all the time. I'm happy to report that he has developed his social skills. He's your typical teenager. He's disciplined, not always, but I would say the same as any other kid. You know, what mother didn't say, oh, how many times do I have to repeat? Yes, we have that too. However, none of the concerns um, about being dependent to fall asleep or being clingy or lacking social skills or academic skills as affected by co-sleeping, none of that materialized. He's very self-assured, confident, um, a typical teenager. Whichever choice you have made as a parent, independent sleeping or co-sleeping, as long as the child is safe, that's what matters. And happy bonding, happy staying attuned to a child, especially in times of electronics. We're all guilty of those. I hope every day you find 5 minutes to disconnect from the media and just tune into your child. Thank you for watching. Please join my channel, subscribe, join my Parenting Support Alliance group on Facebook. I will be sharing more hopefully helpful tips and hacks, parenting hacks. Come along, share yours, and let's support each other. Let's grow together. Thank you, and bye for now.
Close your eyes, my little star. The world is quiet where we are. Dreams will paint the skies tonight, soft and